everybody, it's Emily at ARG Schooling, and today I'm going to be bringing you my Spookathon TBR. So next week, October 14th through 20th, is Spookathon, which is a readathon hosted by Kayla at Books and Lala. I'll link her channel down below with all the information if you want to participate. It's just a couple of challenges and lots of reading creepy, spooky books, so I'm very excited. Just gonna run through the challenges and I'll tell you the books that I'm thinking about reading for each. I have more than one book for many of the challenges because I can't decide and I'm trying to give myself options. So without further ado, let me just get into it. So the first challenge is to read a thriller. And this one I'm pretty much set that I'm gonna be reading Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. This is also the ARG Booked Book Club pick for October, so I need to read it anyway. Why not read it during Spookathon? This is a book about a girl who becomes a nanny, and this family lives in a smart home, and so it's her dealing with that and then weird things happening, and I don't know that much about it, but I'm very excited to pick it up. I've heard lots of really good things about it. The next challenge is to read a book that has red in the cover, and for that I have like too many options. But I think I'm going to be reading Misery by Stephen King because this is a book that I really need to read. I've wanted to read it for a while, and the new season of Castle Rock is coming at the end of the month, and it's a prequel to Misery, so I really want to read this. And it's got red, so I think that's what I'm going to go with. But I also have Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay, which I've had on my TBR for ages, and I really need to read this. And I don't know, you could probably argue that's orange, but I'm going with red, so I don't know. It could happen. And also if I end up like only reading one book, it's got red on the cover, so I can count that. But I think I will probably be reading Misery by Stephen King. I read this, or I started to read this when I was probably, I can't remember for certain, but I think I was either pregnant or had just had my twins, and it was not a good time for me emotionally and mentally, and I could not deal with the depressing content of this book. I just couldn't do it. So I ended up DNFing it, and I've never picked it back up, and I've always regretted that, and I keep saying I'm gonna read it, so I think it's time that I pick this back up. So I think I'm going with Misery. Also, I really want to watch the movie adaptation again because I haven't seen that in forever either. I have a book that has a spooky word in the title, and I have two options for that as well. The one I'm most likely going to read is Witches by Scott Snyder, and this has the spooky word is witches, obviously, and it's also the title. I also really want to read this because it counts towards my Build Your Library Family Reading Challenge of reading a book that takes place in your state, because this story takes place in New Hampshire. I'll probably do this because it's a graphic novel and I will read it really fast. I can probably read this in like a 30-minute sitting, but you know, I don't know. If I change my mind, I also have Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer because I figure Annihilation counts as a spooky word. In my head it does. And it's also short. This is just under 200 pages. It's 195 pages, so it's pretty short. I think I could read it fast. And also would count towards my Build Your Library Reading Challenge because it's about women scientists. So one of these will be read for a book with a spooky word in the title. Although, should I get really lazy again, I think you could argue that Misery is also a spooky word. So combining challenges in my head all the time. Okay, a book with a creepy setting. I really want to read The Hunger by Elma Katsu. I've had this for a while now and I've been wanting to pick it up so badly. You guys know I read and loved The Indifferent Stars Above by Daniel James Brown. I have it here earlier in the year, and I've just desperately been wanting to read anything and everything to do with the Donner Party since then. So I really want to read The Hunger, which is basically a supernatural take on the Donner Party story. And from what I understand, it's very well researched, so there's a lot of historically accurate things within the story. Of course, obviously the supernatural thing isn't, but I don't mind that. and I really wanted to read this. And I don't know, it's kind of long. This is a bit of a chunker. It's like 376 pages. So it's not really a long book, but it's long to read during a readathon, if that makes sense. So will I get through this? I don't know. It's possible. The final challenge is one I'm a little stuck on, that is to read something different from what you usually read. And I don't know, I'm fairly eclectic in my reading tastes. There really isn't a book that I wouldn't read. Maybe romance, but like, I did some research on like horror romance and it wasn't great. I found a lot of things that I'm like, nope, no thanks, I'm good. But I was thinking, what do I not read a lot of? And that is short stories. I do enjoy short stories. I just don't read them a lot. So for that, I'm thinking about reading, if not all of, at least some of Full Throttle by Joe Hill. It is a big book. I don't expect that I'll read all of this, but I thought it might be fun to read a few stories from this and call it good, because that would be something different, I guess. Otherwise, I really don't know what to put here. Maybe I'll just skip that challenge. So these are the books in my TBR for Spookathon. Will I read all of them? Definitely not. I'll be happy if I get through 1 or 2. Honestly, if I can do 3 books in a week, I'll be very successful, because you know, that's a challenge. So are you participating in Spookathon? Let me know down below in the comments, and I'll check out your video if you have a TBR, or you can just tell me what you're gonna read. That's cool too. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Happy reading. Bye.